In all of Jeep's marketing and advertisement, they want you to use the 2020 Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk a bit like this. And do things like this. But let's be honest, you're going to be using your Cherokee in situations like this, driving on a back road, going to the store, doing your regular commute, and anything on top of that could be a bit unnecessary, even potentially incredibly flawed. So after this little off-roading montage, let's get serious and talk about what this Cherokee is like on the open road in day-to-day living situations and how it compares against other compact crossovers in my ranking system. So sit down and enjoy this video. I will be honest, the Trailhawk's abilities off-road were quite impressive. I'm not doing anything too serious that you see in these videos, but the Trailhawk does add quite a few things for off-road capability over a regular Cherokee. So on the outside, you'll see probably the most important difference is the chunkier off-road oriented tires. And a good thing to note, when you open up the boot floor, you'll see that there's another one hiding there as spare. That's going to be incredibly useful if you do get a puncture when you're off-roading. In addition to the off-roading modes that you would get with a standard Cherokee with the Active Drive 2 system, here with the Trailhawk, you're going to have a four-wheel drive low mode, the ability to lock the rear differential, and a hill descent control plus an off-road cruise control that you can change the speed of when you move the gear selector over into manual. You can use the plus and minus to add or take away speed. But getting back to reality, the Cherokee does suffer for a fair few things on road. First of all, with the driving experience, personally, I feel like this seat is mounted far too high. As a tall driver, I'm 6'4", I can't get low enough to be in a comfortable enough position to look outwards, but I feel quite blinded because my eye of sight is directly in the thickest part of this A-pillar. Additionally, sitting behind myself, even though the knee room and foot room is pretty good, because we have this sunroof, it really cuts into a lot of the rear space headroom, so that isn't really comfortable either. Yes, I know that's a very personal problem and something that is going to align to a certain demographic of people, but I guarantee that anybody that's going to drive this vehicle is going to feel the same things from behind the wheel. So first of all, what I don't like includes the brakes, the steering, and the engine. And I know that sounds like a lot, but I have to take each portion of this car, as I do any other car, and break it down. So first of all, the brakes, when you're stopping and going, in-town driving, not really a problem. They're fairly soft, but when you're going at a highway rate of speed, and if there's ever a situation where you need to brake quickly, or God forbid an emergency situation, the brake pedal is really long. I feel like I put a whole foot of travel into it to really get a bite engaged. And that's, I think, a bit scary. The steering is light and disconnected, but when you're off-road, it's actually the responsiveness that you want. But going on the highway, because the model I'm in doesn't have a lane keep assist system, I feel like I'm constantly correcting the steering wheel. And so much so that it almost makes it feel a bit unstable. There is an additional inch of ride height, and the off-road suspension does contribute to a different feeling compact crossover, but that means even on a fairly long turn like this, it isn't tight at all. I can really feel the weight transfer and the car leaning a little more on the outside wheels. The engine I'm testing out is the 2-litre 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. It's a $995 upgrade over the base Pentastar V6, and it produces 270 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. The engine and the throttle response I think is a bit too aggressive for a vehicle like this. If you were to take this exact vehicle on your driver's examination and you had the examiner beside you, I feel like they would dock you points for just not being a smooth operator in this vehicle, because even light throttle applications really picks up this car's pace more than it should. The brakes, like I said, I feel like I have to lean into them quite a bit to get them to do anything. And because I'm finding myself constantly readjusting the steering wheel at highway speed, they just might not see you as a confident driver. That's how I kind of feel behind this thing. I feel like I have to constantly have two hands on the steering wheel and I can't relax at any point in time. In addition to all of that, the Cherokee Trailhawk against its competitors is definitely noisier on the highway. You'll hear the tire noise, and that's going to be any downside to any off-road tire. You're going to hear them more on the surface, but there is a fair amount of wind noise coming off of this wing mirror, and in that respect, it just doesn't feel all that refined. The interior, although it is laid out very logically and you would come to know your way around it incredibly quickly, touchscreen is easy to learn, all of the major knobs and buttons that you have are physical, and down below, even though I will note that there is no physical button for the heated steering wheel, heated or ventilated front seat, which is something that always really bothers me. The sunroof, thank God, really does add a lot of light and an airiness to this space. But overall, most of what I'm looking at is hard or soft black plastics. With this Trailhawk Elite, there is a leather upgrade, so we've got the nice Napa leather on the seats, the steering wheel, and here on the center console. I would like to mention that there are two versions of the Trailhawk for the Cherokee line of trims. You have the Trailhawk and the Trailhawk Elite, and the one I'm testing out is the Elite. But the nice thing is that there are no more off-road credentials, anything to make this a better off-roading vehicle than the lesser priced vehicle. Everything that's added onto this is just creature comforts and technology. That, I think, will really benefit a lot of buyers that really do want to spend more time off-roading and want to get the basic formula at the lowest possible price. The interior space is solid. I feel like it is a well-built thing, but to me, it's just not competitive enough to stack it up against so many other cars in this segment. And now that we're getting quite a few of them, like the upcoming Bronco Sport or the Toyota RAV4 TRD Off-Road, that are aiming themselves towards a little more off-road capability, unless that is the absolute top of your priority list, I don't believe that the Cherokee is up to snuff with most of its competition. So there you go. That's all of my thoughts towards the 2020 Jeep Trailhawk Elite. Even though I don't think this is the most agreeable car on the road, it's certainly not as calm and as smooth as I think it should be, and it doesn't have the same build quality or interior fit and finish as many of its competitors. Out here in this environment, it absolutely serves its purpose, and if you think you're really going to be spending a significant amount of your time in an environment such as this, then the Trailhawk is going to satisfy this aspect of you. So that's why the Trailhawk is a vehicle that I think you should test drive. So that's been everything from me. Thank you so much for taking the time to watching this video. Please like the video if you liked it, share it if you think other people will like it too, and of course subscribe. That really helps me out the most. Hope to see you again on the channel soon. Thank you for watching.